LeBron James, one of the world's greatest basketball players, some would even say the best basketball player in the world, walks for 80% of every playoff game. Let me say that again. LeBron James, one of the world's greatest basketball players, walks for 80% of a playoff game. In one of the most important games of a season, in one of the most important games of someone's career, this battled, hardened athlete, all he does for 80% of the game is walk. Yet he can perform better than anybody else on the court at the time. He walks on average 6 kilometres an hour for 80% of the game. You see, LeBron James, he knows the secret. And the secret is this: when to rest and when to work. Good morning, Eugene. Good morning, Joanna. Good morning, Susan, seeing you live this morning. Good morning, Tony Z. How are you? Ladies and gents, you can be successful when you sleep for less than 8 hours a night, maybe less than 6 hours a night. You can be successful when you have caffeine running through your veins. And you can even be successful when you just keep the pedal to the metal going 100 miles an hour. But, Shane Casey, good morning. Lisa LBL, how are you? But the energy required by you as the leader for you to achieve consistency and competency of running at this pace comes at a price. It comes at a price to you, your business, your team, and your family. These are the things that matter most to us in life. Without a balanced life, without complete downtime, you cannot live up to your potential. You cannot lead your team to higher productivity. It is simply impossible, and you must rest. Hey, Lockie, I got the Anytime Fitness crew on this morning. Welcome to JTInTheRaw, show 96, where I chew the thin on business. And today, I want to look at your productivity and your team's productivity. And I want you to be able to identify when rest is needed. I want you to think, and I want you to do different in the leadership of your team and give them permission to have time out. Couple of shout outs first thing this morning. I want to do a big shout out to the ARC team who I worked with yesterday in Perth. We had an awesome time. Good morning, Derek. How are you this morning? We had an awesome time designing an onboarding process over a 12-week period. The whole team got involved. They took on real ownership of it, and I can't wait to see what they come up with over the next couple of months before we roll it out with a soft launch in 8 weeks. So that's awesome. Another shout out. Morning, Tommy Hart. How are you over there in Christchurch? Said I dropped you an email about the Industry Leaders Roundtable made overnight, or a Facebook message, I think. You might be interested in that over there in New Zealand. I want to give a shout out also to Joe Kearns. Joe's a coaching client of mine. He's come up with an awesome product, a product to help in the sales conversion strategies for clubs. It's a digital sales scripting. It is awesome, and we are going to start selling that as of next week. So just doing the finishing touches on that, but really pumped to work with Joe on that. I know his background. I know what he's done with other clubs, and this will make anyone who's got to do sales in their business, it will make their life so much easier, let me tell you, because we will have scripts, we will have emails ready to go that you just press play and it happens. That's how excited I am. And also, I want to give a little shout out to a little couple that I don't really know, but let's all put our hands together with a big love heart right now for Megan and Harry on their wedding for tomorrow. I have to confess, Megan, I'm sorry. I was already married when you showed interest in me. I know you're a beautiful lady, but I wish you all the very best with Harry. I'm sure the two of you will have a great life. And let's just say, this is the one that you missed out on, Megan. You were too late to the party. But have a great time, Megan and Harry. It's funny how the whole world has, morning Stella, the whole world has stopped for a royal wedding. It's kind of great to see. Okay, first up though from you guys, I want to know, what's your week been like? Tell me, what's your week been like? Give me a rating between 1 and 10. 1 and 10, what's your week been like? Has it been like 1's pretty average, 10's pretty awesome? What would it be? Put it in the comments below, all you guys that are watching. Whether you're watching live or on replay, give me a rating for your week between 1 and 10. Fire away. For me, my week kind of feels 5, maybe 6. But realistically, it was probably an 8. I started the week, Eugene's come in right in the middle at 5. I started the week feeling pretty overwhelmed. I had an overflowing inbox. I had a to-do list where the items on my to-do list were reproducing faster than rabbits reproduce. We've been heavily focused at Active Management on getting our head around the GDPR, the Greater Data Protection Regulation that's coming out in Europe next week. It's mind-numbing. It's been all-consuming for us, but it's essential that we get our head around that. So I was kind of feeling like, kind of flat in the middle of the week. Then I got a phone call from somebody who watches JTInTheRaw. Remember the question of the day. If you're watching, I want to see in the comments below how you rate your week between 1 and 7. And I got a call from a JTInTheRaw watcher, and he said, I watched last week's show where you gave us the 5 questions for interviews. If you missed show 95, where I give 5 questions for interviews, put 95 in the comments below, 95, and I'll send you the link to that show. He said, I used those 5 questions and it really elicited some great responses from the lady that I was interviewing. They were fantastic. And just that phone call alone made me feel pretty damn good because I just had an impact on somebody's life. So I'd almost gone from this 5 up to a 6 because someone had used something I used. And it's a great feeling when that happens. So if you missed show 95, put 95 in the comments below. And then yesterday with the team that I was working with, at the end of the day, the executive leader said to me, wow, we achieved so much more today than I ever thought we would have. Just a throwaway 1-sentence line. And that had a great impact on me. So that probably took me up another level, maybe up to a 7. And I'm feeling pretty good. And then this morning, Andrew Richards posts on Facebook a little thank you, a shout out to me because I just did something for him. I mean, it wasn't huge. I just helped him out on something. And he was really appreciative. And it's funny how these little things all have a big impact and have a huge impact on how you feel and what you think and what you do for the week. So I want to obviously thank all those people for reaching out to me, but that helped me get up another level. So I'm finishing the week on about an 8, I would suggest. What about you? What about you? Where did you finish the week? 1 through to 8 in the comments below. Give me your ranking. Susan's got a 7. Eugene's got a 5. Pete's got a 4. Give me what you think you might have. Love to know. Okay, so last night I got a flight home from Perth. I got the red eye, hence the bags under the eyes, ladies and gents. So I'm coming to you live after just 4 hours sleep. And while I was killing 6 hours in the airport last night, I read an article on LeBron James. Now, for those that don't know, LeBron James is currently playing in the playoffs, the NBA playoffs in the US. He's regarded as one of the world's best basketball players. He plays for the Cavs, and they're playing against the Celtics at the moment. And in this article, it said that in the game against the Celtics, the most recent game against the Celtics, which I think was game 2, this may be the reason why they lost, LeBron walked at 6 kilometers an hour for around 80% of the game. He was the slowest moving player on the court. and yet he contributed the most to the game. Tony Zonata, a 10. That's awesome. Welcome, Paul Brown, Mr. Retention. Julian Hager, how are you? Paul, I'm guessing the question of the day is, how was your week? Rate it between 1 and 10. And looking at your hiking experience, I reckon you're going to be saying it's an 11 for you. So if you're just tuning in, Julian, how was your week? Rate it between 1 and 10. 1 average, 10 awesome. So my question is this. If LeBron James can walk but still have such an impact on the game, how does he do it? Why does he do it? What's his thought process? And the thing is, LeBron James, as an expert basketball player, one of the world's best, has the art of knowing when to take time off in a game. He knows when to take the plays off. He's learned when to do little things in a game, like walk to the other side of the court at different times so he hasn't got to sprint, all so that he can save energy. He minimises his energy output when it's not required. And sometimes in business, I'm not sure we actually do that. I think we go at 100 miles an hour and we've got to be hitting that 10 every day of the week. So at the end of the week, we go, I had an 11. When really, we don't need to. We need to pace ourselves. You see, it's a bit cold here, I've got a snotty nose. Morning, Rod. As the leader of your organisation, your personal energy efficiency is what matters most to your team and to your customers, your members or your clients. This means being efficient in when and where you have to give maximum effort. Let me say that again. Being efficient is when you can give your maximum effort. You know when you need to. So you need to find time during the day between meetings, between phone calls, between tasks that you're doing, where you can just replenish that energy, because that energy is the valuable asset to the success and the relationships that you're going to build at work, the success of work, the success of those relationships. It could be doing breathing exercises. It could be doing some little 30-second to a minute meditation, getting an app and just meditating for a little bit. Or it could be disconnecting from electronics. It could be just going for a walk. It could be running up and down the stairs. Who knows what it works for you? But it is a few brief moments where you simply tune out and you walk instead of run. By hitting that pause button and slowing things down, even if it is just for a few seconds, you are recovering and you are becoming a better leader. You're getting that energy that you can then use when you need to. Using your time this way is going to keep your mind in tune with your body, which creates balance and allows you to continue to perform at a high level. Good morning, Frosty. How are you, mate? Hope you're doing good. How'd the netball girls go last week for you? The number two point about LeBron James and his performance. He understands when to take the foot off the accelerator. And as the leader of our business, we also need to know when to take our foot off the accelerator. If you haven't worked out that 90% for you is often better than 100% of other people's, then that's what you need to work out. You need to feel that you can trust yourself. You need to feel that you can flip that switch and just tune out for a little bit. You need to understand that you can pace yourself. You need to know when to push that pedal to the metal and when to pump the brakes. This is an art that very few people can do. It is really understanding you and getting a better understanding of how you operate as a leader and a human being. When you know you need to pump the pedal and pump the brakes to replenish. People like LeBron James are true leaders. They're leaders on the field by their acts of performance. They're leaders in their business by what they do. But they are also leaders because they are able to achieve their peak performance consistently. They understand what they need to do consistently. And our job as the leader of our business, the leader of our team, whether that be a sporting team or whether that be a business team, is to have a clear understanding of how our individuals are operating and how they are doing in regard to pumping their brakes or pumping that accelerator to go fast. I had a great conversation with somebody this week who listened to the strength conditioning leader, manager of the Fremantle Dockers, the AFL team. And he was saying now he spends more time as the strength conditioning coach analysing the data of how his players are performing physically each week than he does in the actual phases of doing S&C. He's looking to see when their speeds drop. He's looking to see when their hits drop. This is all important data that he's collecting on his team to help shape and determine their training, their input in the game. Also, what is most important is the possibility of their injury. We can't afford injuries in our teams at work. So we need to be monitoring them. We need to be giving them the opportunity to walk rather than sprint. We need to teach them the importance of getting that balance. That's what a good leader does. That is also what a good parent does with their child, a good lover does with their loving partner, and it's what being a human is all about. So today's show is about teaching you guys maybe to slow down a bit, maybe to speed up, I don't know. But what I want you to think about, is how can you get that balance back in the workplace for you? In between those meetings, in between those phone calls, what do you got to do just to keep moving but not expending too much energy? So for me, after a red-eye flight back from Perth today, I am taking it easy. I got a coaching call this morning. I'm going to have a workout. Then I'm going to go and watch Zoe play her second game of soccer. I don't really know the rules of soccer, so I'm hoping she's not going to pick the ball up. I would tuck it under my arm and run like a rugby player. But she played last week, and apparently she went quite well, so I'm going to do that. And I'm really going to have, for me, I'm having a day of a little bit of unwinding. I'm not going to be doing a lot of high-pressure stuff today because I'm just going to walk. I don't need to sprint. I need to put some energy back into my system after a big day yesterday of working, a shitty night of sleep because I was on a plane, and I need that. I understand that, but do you understand that about yourself, and do you understand that about your team? I understand my limitations. Do you? Is this show a reminder for you that you need to turn yourself inward, to look inward and determine what you need to do in order to grow as a leader, to increase your productivity? Is this show a stimulus for you to release the valve that you might have on your team to allow that accelerator? Eugene's given me a couple of love hearts. If this does resonate for you, give me a love heart right now. Give me some thoughts around what you're thinking right now. In fact, I'd love you to articulate in the comments what you feel about what I'm saying. It's important to me that you guys are actually thinking about what I'm talking about today, because I want you to be true leaders, and you can't be a true leader 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You need that time out. You need to know when to push that pedal to the metal, and you need to know when to pump those brakes. Thanks for tuning in to JTInTheRaw. Morning, Rick Veach. Congratulations, Rick Veach. Another baby coming to you and your family. That is great news. Congratulations. My week, this Sunday, I'm running the Sydney Half Marathon. It's part of my training for my marathon later in the year. So I've got that on Sunday. next week, what am I doing next week? Next week, I'm preparing for a bucket load of round tables. I've got 4 round tables coming up, so I've got a lot of work I need to do for that. So that's what I'm going to be doing next week. So I really love doing that, actually, by the way. So if you're a club owner or a personal trainer thinking about joining the round table, reach out to me and I'll give you some info, because I'm going to be working on that next week. And I'm also applying for a bit of a role. So I've got an application I need to finish and nail that next week. Can't tell you what that is. It's top secret. You'll find out if I get that role in the future. Okay. Yeah, Frosty, a baby cobra. Yes, indeed it will be. So, ladies and gentlemen, quote of the week. Be a master of your own efficiency. Be a master of your own efficiency. Hey, if you like that quote of the week, hit me up with a love heart right now, whether live or on replay. Hit me up with a love heart if you like that quote. Be a master of your own efficiency. Thank you for tuning into JT in the Raw, show 96. Thanks for joining into the conversations. I'm going to be back next week, firing even better than I am this week, because I'll have had a whole lot more sleep. So, Carol Richardson, hell yeah! Be a master of your own efficiency. You guys have an awesome weekend, and I will catch you on the flip side.